other videos on this channel for entertainment purposes only. The content of this video and all other videos on this channel are the opinions of the creator only and do not constitute legal, trading, investment, or financial advice of any kind. Investing carries a high level of risk and the majority of retail clients lose money. Do not invest any capital unless you understand the risks and you are prepared to lose it all. Alright, hello and welcome to Camel Finance. I'm your boy Camel, and I was hoping to do is actually go live for a 100k Bitcoin party, and it just doesn't want to do it just yet. So maybe it happens, maybe it doesn't. We got pretty close. Anyway, what I'm going to do is try not to waste too much time. I'm going to just touch on a couple of things that I wanted to point out, run through a few charts, and then what I think we're going to do is I'm going to go out and buy a bottle of champagne, and we'll have a third crack at this. Now, to the newer subscribers of the channel, I went live the first time Bitcoin GBP broke this all-time high back here. Okay, I popped a cork and I actually marked the top. And then a couple of days later, we did it with a dollar pairing as well. I went live as we broke through the prior all-time high. I popped a cork live on stream. We had a laugh and it topped. So if you want easy money short in this 100k break, then tune in at the live stream. I'll let you guys know, okay, to lever up, go 100x short, and I'll pop the cork, and undoubtedly the thing is going to tank. So in case anyone is actually thinking of going 100x short, that was not financial advice. I am joking. I probably shouldn't have to say this, but you never know these days. Okay, so anyway, if we break 100k, expect me to pop a cork and mark the top once more. Since it is Black Friday, I have been putting together like a trader package. Also, while I'm here, quick side tangent. I know I see the comments. A bunch of you really hate the white light here, okay? But I don't know how to change it. I had a look, and the best thing I could come up with was apparently I've got to get like a web extension and then put some code in it. And I'm just not really about that, to be honest. So sorry if it hurts your eyes. Maybe you need glasses. And other than that, I put together this Black Friday list of stuff so you can get the cheapest possible spot prices with a bit of a discount on some gold and silver physical if you're interested in that. If you want to upgrade to a premium trading view, there's a package for that. There's a VPN, okay, for like less than £2 a month, and you really ought to have one of those if you're going to be in crypto. And this is also the reason a lot of people keep asking me if I live in Portugal, okay? It's because I like to spoof my address to Portugal. I do not live in Portugal, but that's the kind of thing you can do with a VPN. I'm also going to run a discount in the merch store. There's a whole load of new merch. Tell that to the bond market, Camel Finance stuff, and that will include the cycle trading PDF as well. So if anyone's been wanting to get hold of that, there will be a discount code on the cycles PDF too. And there's also going to be some discounts on some cold wallets that you should be able to claim. So I'll put all of these discount Black Friday stuff, codes, whatever you need, in the pinned comment to this video, and I'll put it in the description as well. So if you're in the market for any of that stuff, then by all means, go and save yourself a bit of money. But if you don't need any of that stuff already, if you're not in the market, then don't succumb to the consumerism that is Black Friday. Memes continue to write themselves this cycle. Okay, this is, I can't even say this without laughing. This is Nayib Bukele flexing nation state P&L, okay, on Instagram. So, I mean, I don't know what to say. Do I need to say anything? Bob Lucas points out gradually then suddenly, pertaining to Schwab about to get into spot crypto under new laws, okay? So institutions continue to be here. This continues to be an institutionally driven bull run, pretty wild times. And speaking of wild, okay, a lot of people called Gert here crazy. They called him crazy for a long time. They kept saying, you keep moving the goalpost or whatever, blah, blah, blah. You're never going to get this target. And now all of a sudden, this thing looks like it is more likely than ever. So I absolutely love this. I think whilst this seems insane to be approaching 300k Bitcoin, and whilst we could certainly top way, way lower down than 300k, when we just zoom out and draw a parabolic curve, is something like this on the table, I would say there's a non-zero probability for sure. And I wouldn't really be surprised if we do something like this, maybe a pop to 120k, a 30 or 40% correction, and then one massive extended fifth of the fifth of the fifth of the fifth of the fifth. So there's your daily dose of hopium today. Going back to this whole potential top signals, I wanted to touch on the next two slides, which is, first of all, Coinbase has made it back into #1 spot for the finance app, but has cooled off a little bit, okay? So not in the top 10, not in the top 5 for all apps, not super concerning just yet. And when we go on the CBBI, this aggregates 9 on-chain metrics and gives a score between 0 and 100 or 1 and 100. And you can see here, the multicolored chart is Bitcoin's price. The CBBI is this aggregate of all of these 9 on-chain metrics that you can see right here. And you can see the prior top from back here, okay, coincided with an 87 read, okay, but the ultimate top coincided with a 98 read on the CBBI, which is this grey chart above the rainbow-coloured one. You'll also notice that this top back here in 2017 was marked with a CBBI confidence of 100. This top back here was marked with reads of around 98, 96 in that kind of neighborhood. And when we fast forward to today, this current read is at 80. I would say once we get above 85, 90, and we can start to pay really close attention to this. And certainly any reading above 95 is historically timed to start be really, really on guard to take in some profits. So plenty of space here. And of course, this grey one down the bottom, the CBBI, doesn't have to move in a straight line like this. It could certainly have pullbacks along the way. And the more pullbacks and shakeouts it has, the more time I would say we've got to reach higher prices for Bitcoin. But this is something I'm keeping a very close eye on. And I will be using this as a piece of confluence when I think the charts have broken down for Bitcoin. Plenty of space to run yet. And then the last couple of things before we do some charts are shout out to Socrates, by the way, and the Bitcoin weather report. First of all, I wanted to point at this. We are currently balanced on the FOMO finder. So this is like a different, and in my opinion, a more accurate version of the fear and greed index. There is plenty of space to get euphoric yet. I don't think there's anything to worry about there. And the other thing I wanted to point at was the conclusion that Socrates draws here. Today, we saw the price dip from 98 to 96k going into the New York Open. It proceeded to rally to fresh all-time highs in the afternoon, and it didn't look back and had no problem putting in the highest daily close in history. At the time of writing, it's trading at $99,200, which is less than 1% away from that six-figure prices that everyone has always been waiting for. He outlined in yesterday's post why he thinks will melt right through the 100k level before turning that level into support. Nothing has changed with that perspective, so no need to reiterate that thought process. Therefore, I will take the time today to share a contrarian train of thought, and this is what I wanted to share with you guys. Weatherman and I are both feeling more and more uncomfortable by how many people think that it's inevitable we break 100k in the next few days, if not the next few hours. Every single post we see on X has over 80% of people saying that it will break out before the end of the month. And then we see a bunch of posts along the lines of Bitcoin better not break 100k while I'm sleeping, or Bitcoin better not break out while I'm stuck on the plane for the next few hours. Seems to be the most monumental milestone that Bitcoin has faced since the $1,000 level. When the market gets complacent like this and thinks that the next move is inevitable, it's a major cause for concern. And I often say, when everyone's thinking the same, someone's not thinking. So nobody should be worried about sleeping through the breakout. Instead, we should all just be rooting for this thing to happen at all costs. And again, this kind of fits what I was saying right at the beginning of this episode. Even I'm waiting to see this go through 100k so I can go live and pop that bottle, right? Highly, highly, highly anticipated move. So everyone instead should be rooting for this to happen at all costs, or they should be sidelined in utter disbelief of the possibility. Everyone should be doubting it. No way we go to 100k, bro, blah, blah, blah. And instead we don't really have that. We've got everyone watching this thing like a hawk, wanting to take part in that historical moment when Bitcoin finally crosses 100k. So yesterday, Socrates talked about how price smashed through the 10k level in 2017, and he was thinking that it would do the same to $100,000. And whilst he still feels like this is the most likely outcome, if it doesn't happen, then he would be very much reminded of how we first approached $5,000 back in 2017. He remembers alts going bananas, with Litecoin mooning to $100, and it seemed like $5,000 Bitcoin was an absolute given. What happened instead was price pulled all the way up to $4,965 before then dumping all the way to $3,000 in the following 2 weeks, as you can see right here. Although it might not look like much to you right here, this is around a 40% decline. So you really have to zoom in to see how close it came to that psychological level without actually testing it. It proceeded to smash through the new highs in the weeks and months to come, but not until it had first put in that 40% correction down to around 3k. And that wiped out everyone that was trading with more than 2x leverage, as well as all those that were overexposed to alts. So whilst moving through the six figures in the days to come seems like a given, it's very important to remember and consider what it would look like if that critical psychological level is front run. This is not an area to buy, and it's not an area to sell either. This is the beginning to middle part of the story when it generally is best to hold strong. The only thing that makes sense to him at the moment is to hedge against a failed breakout that the majority of the market currently considers inevitable. So slowly then suddenly, hopefully the sudden movement is up, not down. The reason I wanted to bring this up is, what if we're all sat here waiting for 100k Bitcoin and instead that level was just front run by no more than 440 odd bucks. And now what potentially comes next is a nasty and violent shakeout. If we were to have that similar sort of 30 or 40% correction from this high here, we might be looking all the way out to 69,000 for a 30% correction, and a 40% correction would take us all the way down to about $59,000. Is that on the table right now? Is that the pain trade? Are we about to see something like this show up for Bitcoin into that cycle low and then off we go? Personally, I don't think so. But again, it is probably a non-zero probability. So let's all hope that we can smash through this 100k level today. I'm going to be keeping an eye out. If it looks like it's going to do it, I will go live, as I said a million times already. Other than that, we are pretty early in this daily cycle. Today would be about day 18. A half cycle low shakeout into day 30 would make sense. And then, of course, we'd be looking for a resumption of the uptrend and a daily cycle low around early January. I think the stock market is in the process of working out potentially an early daily cycle low, although it would be early. So on a balance of probabilities, we would be looking for 2 drives into this low, and then the rest of my yellow squiggle to come to fruition, perhaps something akin to this. The VIX is still kind of hanging around and grinding, so that's not the greatest look for me. I would rather either be stopped out or see a quick spike. This is the one scenario I didn't want to see, but so far so good, whatever. And the Dow Jones appears to be trying to confirm an early daily cycle low. May still be susceptible to one final undercut, we'll see. And same deal with the Nasdaq following the S&P 500. Confirmation of a new cycle would be a break above this downward sloping red resistance line. Otherwise, on a balance of probabilities, one final marginally lower low would make a lot of sense to me. The Russell 2K, similar deal, okay? That may or may not be it. If we get one more undercut, then we can say for sure that's the cycle low. And if this thing continues to push higher, then we can say we've got a slightly earlier one. Gold should be pretty close now to finding a top, left translating in its daily cycle and rolling over to find a weekly cycle. There's an outside chance this is an early weekly cycle. If that's the case, I'm on guard for that. I've got my invalidation level set for that, but I don't think that's the case. I think we've got one final roll over here, and then it's time to go. And I think things like silver are showing us this on our way down to our weekly cycle low time frame. And I also think things like the miners are showing this as well. They're not quite looking like they're ready to bottom just yet to me. So that's really all there is to say. Please do have a look at those Black Friday discounts and that kind of thing. Hit the subscribe button if you want to see us continue to find these cycle lows in real time and take some more breakout trades. And if it looks like we're approaching 100k Bitcoin, then please do hop on the live stream and we will mark the top once more by popping a cork. I'm your boy Camel. Have a fantastic weekend. Until next time, cheers. Bye.
Camel Finance, he's the man to see. Rocking the markets with his contrarian spree. Trades like a pro, no fear, no shame. Sticking to his guns in his money game. He's a badass, oh yes indeed. Camel Finance got the markets key. Taking us normies on a bump.